Hello, my name is Rebecca McGill, and I'm here with my colleagues Danielle Davis, Allie Kimball, Adele Phillips, and Morella Ramirez to introduce Assembly Bill 414, which addresses inadequate maternal care in prisons. The legislation in AB 414 requires California to provide specialized maternity wards that are exclusively designed to support mothers and their babies during the crucial prenatal and postnatal periods of development, using effective interventions supported by empirical evidence. These wards are separate, but will be built on the grounds of existing women's prisons to reduce costs and provide access to other services associated with incarceration. The maternity wards will have procedures and policies that address the current plight experienced by expected mothers and their children and adequately meet the needs of this population. Dr. Sufrin, an OBGYN at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, believes that pregnant incarcerated people are one of the most marginalized and forgotten groups in our country. This is of grave concern, as approximately 10% of women entering prisons are pregnant. Currently, prenatal care for incarcerated pregnant women has been based on generalized guidelines, not customized to specific needs. And despite laws that require minimal prenatal care and restrict restraint use, mothers have reported being severely neglected, mistreated, denied food or proper prenatal care, and even shackled during childbirth, which has resulted in long-term harm to the mother and infant, including infant mortality. The state needed to implement optimal policies that identify the needs of incarcerated expectant females and their children and ensure a higher level of care is consistently provided. AB 414 proposed the implementation of regional maternity wards in Northern, Central, and Southern California. The new programming will be initiated through a pilot program at the California Institution for Women in San Bernardino County over a 3-year period. The first year will be allocated for administrative planning and preparing for execution of the pilot. The second and third years will focus on care for inmates and their children, as well as data collection, analysis, and reporting. AB 414 will result in improving the health outcomes of pregnancies during incarceration through established standards of proper prenatal care that is essential to perinatal health. Providing adequate care to incarcerated women will support the healthy growth and development of fetuses. The intent of this bill is to provide a specialized facility dedicated to the care and support of expecting women and new mothers. AB 414 programming will include prenatal care, labor and delivery care, and postpartum care. Maternal ward care will include a specialized nutrition program, as it is essential that proper diet needs are met for pregnant women and breastfeeding mothers. This involves having a dietitian on staff that can monitor and provide proper supplementation of nutrients, including prenatal vitamins. The specialized ward will also include an on-site OBGYN to support women at all stages of pregnancy with quality preventative care, labor and delivery services, and postpartum checkups, all while providing continuity of care. Additionally, the ward will partner with lactation experts to provide consultations to breastfeeding mothers and improve breastfeeding outcomes. Programming will also include pregnancy, childbirth, and parenting classes to provide education to incarcerated mothers. And at least one mental health services provider will be on site at all times to support individuals through the emotionally taxing process of pregnancy, delivery, and postpartum to support healthy outcomes for both mom and child, as well as reduce postpartum depression rates. Finally, the ward will have provisions to allow for mothers and babies to remain together for up to 18 months for healthy bonding and secure attachment. AB 414 is meaningfully supported by impacted incarcerated women and their families. Social services institutions such as child welfare agencies, as well as nonprofits that focus on family care, also support this legislation. Additionally, the medical community, especially OBGYNs and pediatrics, support these better holistic healthcare practices in prisons. While prisons may oppose this legislation due to the administrative burdens of implementing a new program, law enforcement should also see the benefits of a healthier inmate population. This bill will ensure that the best maternal practices are implemented to maximize health and maintain and strengthen the mother-child bond. policies that affect mothers behind bars must be enhanced to improve lives, health, and prospects for the future. Next, we have Mirella sharing.
Hi, everyone. I will go ahead and be talking about our target audience. So in order for the change to happen, it was important to garner support from individuals to achieve our goal. First here we have Jeff McComber. He's the Secretary of the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. And he is in charge of all the California prisons. Mr. McComber understands the importance of care to individuals in custody, and with his experience and knowledge, he helps to create a safe program for our pregnant incarcerated. Next, we also have California Governor Gavin Newsom. His priorities include healthcare and criminal justice reform, and he helps by advocating and implementing solutions. And last, we have by bringing this bill to the state level, it enabled it to be voted on further appraisal by the 80 members of the state assembly and 40 members of the state senate. Next, please. Here we have our nonprofit organizations. We have the National Diaper Bank Network, which provides resources to help establish diaper banks and pantries where needed. And then we also have assisting families of inmates, which helps families or loved ones with to help them from the transition of prison to being out in society, and for them to be able to have a successful outcome. And then we have Elizabeth's House, which helps pregnant women who are experiencing homelessness. Next slide, please. The last ones here, we have our human rights organizations. We have the American Civil Liberties Union, which provides law advice and assistance to individuals whose civil rights are being violated. And they also help individuals navigate the United States court system. And last, we have the human rights reform, which informs public on issues, and their campaigns encourage people to speak up, motivates individuals to provide support for beneficial laws, and discourage discriminatory or abusive laws. So that is it for our target audience.
I am Danielle Davis, and I will be talking about the action plan for AB 414. So we focused on a cost-benefit analysis to address any opposition to this bill. Those who are not in favor of creating maternity wards and increased supports for incarcerated women may be concerned with the cost, as well as disagreeing about providing amenities to incarcerated persons. However, through our extensive research, it has become clear that the benefits of this bill far outweigh the cost. By increasing comprehensive care for incarcerated mothers, AB 414 will provide support in decreasing instances of adverse childhood experiences, save money by increasing positive health outcomes for both mothers and the children. And with all of these factors, overall, work on decreasing the amount of children in the prison pipeline. Next slide. We found that 66% of incarcerated women have children under the age of 18 years old, and that women's prisons populations have increased by over 700% over the last 30 years. So this makes it an extremely important issue, and programs such as the doula birth support programs, residential parenting programs, and prison nurseries have been instrumental in increasing favorable outcomes for children and incarcerated mothers, as well as the incarcerated mothers themselves. These programs increase cohesion and consistency in the medical care provided to the mothers and children. And given this information, Rebecca and I compiled statistics into simple information that would be used by Mirella in her social media posts. So Mirella worked on our social media advocacy. She created a Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok accounts to spread awareness of the issues that we are focusing on. The post featured important statistics, testimonials, from formerly incarcerated women who gave birth in the prison system, as well as some interviews from currently incarcerated mothers. She also compiled all of these things into cohesive campaigns with the hashtag pregnant lockup. Next slide. And Allie was our leader of correspondence. So she sent emails, letters, and called the offices of Assemblyman James C. Ramos and Assemblywoman Sabrina Cervantes, as they are individuals who are in the San Bernardino County legislature and have had previous history of supporting prison reform. We also reached out to Gavin Newsom and Jeff McComber, head of the CDCR, to discuss the needs of incarcerated mothers and gather support from our government officials. She sent out correspondence over once a week for 6 months until she received a response. She also contacted Lighthouse Social Services and Partners for Justice to assist us in having more support from community partners. And then last but not least, we had Adele, who was tasked with event planning and ensuring that information was able to be shared to different people in different settings. So she contacted local grocery stores, community centers, and farmers markets to help set up tabling events to reach the community and educate them on the issues of incarcerated mothers. She also worked with Time for Change and Root and Rebound, which are two nonprofit agencies that work with lawyers to support incarcerated individuals in having their rights recognized. And they supported in speaking at monthly town halls in the San Bernardino area. And these efforts continued over the course of a year. And I will go ahead and pass it on to Allie to talk about our implementation plan.
Thank you. I'm going to talk about our action plan and the action agreement, as well as the location we chose and why, and some personal narratives. So I participated in specifically grassroots advocacy. I on foot, on the phone, through emails, and writing personal letters. I reached out to inmates, current families of inmates, current employees, volunteers, and within a 300-mile radius of the location, all legislation, government officials that could levy a vote, and as well as just in general citizens. I did a mass flyer distribution as well as table awareness movements, and I also chose to contact the warden as well as a few different representatives of California, Southern California specifically, that already had a foundation in advocacy for the rights of inmates or police reform. Now, we chose to put our pilot location for a year at West Valley Detention Center, which is the largest jail in California, and it's located in San Bernardino County, which is the largest county in the nation. They habitually house about 3,000 inmates per year. They have a 3,000 bed capacity, but they take in 60,000 bookings and releases or participate in them. They also receive over 1 million calls for service and have a $200 million budget. So I specifically went to West Valley Detention Center and had 6 different females who had recently either delivered at West Valley Detention Center or knew someone and I witnessed them delivering or having complications with a pregnancy related issue. I spent quite a bit of time on the phone and in person with these inmates, discovering multiple travesties and hardships that they had to suffer through as incarcerated pregnant women and as mothers incarcerated. These personal narratives were very in depth and emotional, and I used quotes from them to advocate on social media and reach the emotions of my supporters and possibly the opposition. I thought that opposition would come from a lot of entities, but it turned out that most people have emotional compassion for the hardships these women are going through. And it was very foundational to devote a lot of attention to the money that would be saved by these women staying with their children and these children not ending up in the foster care system. And I believe that implemented a lot of the support that we received as well. We were informed by a local government official that there was a bill passed into Senate last year that was somewhat similar to our bill. And so I reached out to that Senate, to that Representative Karen Bass, and we decided to merge that bill, the Protecting the Health and Wellness of Babies and Pregnant Act of 2022, which was also titled HR 6878. It was proposed in the House in March of 2022, and it encompassed a variety of very, very relevant rights that women were being deprived of, and therefore we decided to add our bill together and make one bill that was focused on the human rights being the ability to bond with their children if they have passed certain stipulations, such as not being violent offenders or are within a certain amount of time of their release, due to the fact that we don't want to have secondary or additional separation. If we stop the separation from happening in the beginning, we don't want to separate the mother after. So if her sentence was longer than she could be in the mother infant ward, or that the infant could be housed at the jail, then she would not be eligible, but she would be resourced out to other entities that could possibly further help her either stay with her baby in jail, get reduced sentencing, or facilitate a proper source to care for her baby and bond her with her baby through means of visitation and phone and writing and pictures until her release. Another implementation that our bill enacted had to do with.
Thank you. The creators of AB 414 sought to provide an avenue for advocacy to aid incarcerated pregnant women. The important part was change. This bill puts an end to inhumane practices, inadequate care, broken families, and uncertainty. This gives way to an increase in dignity, worth, empathy, and motivation. The concept of reproductive justice is not new, as advocates have sought solutions for decades. The importance of policy change surrounding reproductive health, child-parent relationships, incarceration alternatives, child-friendly visitation, and family-based support services have already been illustrated through research. That being said, the need for institutional changes had yet to be supported through legislation. Through the extensive proposals of Rebecca McGill, the public was able to see the need for change, providing those within a power a view of the inequities within the prison system, which allowed for the veil to be lifted concerning incarceration practices unfairly targeting women. With this background information and potential measures for change, Ms. McGill was able to provide possible interventions that would allow for the mitigation of these concerns on a systemic level. These proposals provided an understanding of the true scope of the problem and indicated that there was a possible solution for every problem. The proposal allowed Marilla Ramirez to work towards identifying populations of interest. Marilla provided insight into possible organizations who would likely support AB 414, considering not just the political arena, but the personal reach the issue has to the individuals and families involved. Marilla provided possible resources available, including organizations that would mitigate cost concerns surrounding maternity wards. The organizations were contacted and pledged support to include diapers, wipes, formula, pre- and postnatal care to include mental health services. Danielle Davis proposed an action plan with the understanding that this issue was far-reaching. Social media was heavily utilized to bring awareness to the problem, including educational information and testimonials, which allowed the public to put a face to those affected by the issue. Sponsors were proposed, allowing for a more significant impact surrounding the bill for mother-infant wards in California prisons. Cost, benefit, and other statistical analyses, as well as adverse effects of the current system, were considered at length. As agreed upon, statistical data will be collected and analyzed for 1 year, allowing for a performance-based budget in the future. The actions surrounding the bill provide a much-needed barrier, ensuring that infants born to incarcerated mothers have the ability to bond, reducing ACEs. Allie Kimball ensured that the actions taken were done so legally, morally, and ethically. She worked hard to coordinate the efforts of the individuals involved to provide the best possible outcome. Due to the exhausted efforts of Danielle Davis, Allie Kimball, Rebecca McGill, Marilla Ramirez, and Adele Phillips, AB 414 passed successfully and was signed in by California Governor Gavin Newsom.